Samuel 3:24 through 27. Now, for the background of this, Saul died. There was a battle between who would be the next king. Abner, of course, wanted his own guy. He ended up killing this brother of Joab during this battle. Joab has vengeance. And at this point, Abner realizes that he's losing the war, and he's rather than continue to lose more casualties in the battle and more grief and things coming from it, he decides to make peace with David and just accept him as king. So David sees his peace and accepts it and decides to allow the peace to be done, in which at that point Abner sent on his way to get those who were rebelling against David being king to align with him. So at this point, Abner, instead of being a rival, is being a peacekeeper. So we see that Joab here in this text has bitterness because of Abner killing his brother. Then Joab came to the king, and this is referring to David. What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came to thee unto thee. Why is that thou hast sent him away, and he is gone, quite gone? So Joab's legitimate concern is that Abner can't be trusted, and so why didn't you make an example of him out of rebellion? In fact, David is making an example of him showing mercy, because David could have had Abner killed because he was rebellion and he's the king and all this, but rather than do that, David sees use of Abner by showing him this mercy to allow him to align himself with David's kingdom. And God works this same way in our lives. He allows us mercy and grace when we have nothing to offer back for Him. He gives us purpose to serve in Him because of Him. While everything that we do led us to the point where we deserve judgment, He gives us a desire and service to Him through Christ. So we see that imagery here with what David did to Abner. Instead of sending Abner to death, he allows him to serve. And of course, when we come to Christ, people are going to look at what we've been through, where we were before Him, and compare that to where we are now and say we don't deserve the Lord. Of course we don't deserve the Lord. Nobody does. We don't deserve where the Lord takes us. Nobody does. Did Abner deserve to die? Absolutely. But David showed him mercy, just as we find mercy in Christ, and we have purpose in Him now. Verse 25. Thou knowest Abner, son of Ner, and he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and know all that thou dost. Now there may have been some truth to this. This could have been a great possibility. This is exactly what Abner was doing. But David, to keep his integrity, would have had to trust Abner and then deal with this. If this would have been the case, David would have dealt with it then. But for him to react now after he made this peace agreement would have been for him to go back on his word. His integrity would have been lost. He would have had to deal with this. If Abner would have rebelled, then David would have had him killed at that point. But he would have had, until then, he would have kept the terms of his peace, because David was a man of integrity. He was doing what the Lord wanted him to do, which was just put an end to this strife, be the king that he was promised to be. And sometimes we got to let things go, which Joab didn't. The problem is sometimes we hold on things too long, and they end up bringing us down. Hatred in our heart doesn't hurt the other person. It destroys us from the inside. And Joab was having this. Joab had it based on legitimate concerns. But he couldn't see past his legitimate concerns to see where God was taking it. And oftentimes we can fall in the same situation. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Syria. But David knew it not. Now, if David would have been knowing this, David would have advised him or prevented him from doing this. But with Joab doing this, and Joab being a leader of David's army, this would make question of where David truly was. Whether he was trying to make peace with Abner or not. So this is going to cause a huge mess. So Abner returned to Hebron, And Joab pulled him aside in the gateway so as to speak with him undisturbed. So Abner most likely thought, okay, the king's made peace with me. Joab's representing the king, so he's here to help and aid in what I'm doing. So Abner's showing trust by coming over to him. If Abner would have known Joab was there to attack him, he probably wouldn't have came over to speak to him one-on-one. He would have had people with him, protected himself. But due to the peace agreement David made, Abner's showing trust here. And Joab's using that to what his gain rather than the gain of the entire kingdom. He's looking at it himself. And oftentimes we get to the point to where we look at ourselves rather than consider what all God's doing. And it gets to the point where we're selfish, and then it drives us into sin because we're going away from God. There he struck him in the midsection so that he died on the account of the blood of Ashel, his brother. You know, people died both ways, on both sides of the war. And this is one reason why both of them wanted to make this peace. Yes, there were casualties, and they were important people. But sometimes we got to get past all the stuff we've been through, and people put us through, and let it go so we can make peace and serve God with them. Because the strongest example to the lost is to be able to forgive them like God's forgiven us and show them love after they've hurt us. Because that's exactly what God's done for us.